got Fiona here for our Tiffany Talks series. Fiona is someone who's come on the Transformational Truth of Tarot Deluxe version since, when was it that you started, Fiona?
November 2016.
November 2016. And now we are in, where are we?
June 2018.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Fiona's had a really interesting journey. And when I first did the Transformational Truth of Tarot, it was a 5-month journey. And what I found was that people tended to have quite strong transformations around the last month of their journey. And I also found out that everybody's journey is different and takes a different amount of time. And so now it's done in a way that honours the divine rhythms, which is what the Transformational Truth of Tarot is all about. So Fiona used to come and see me for readings at Mysteries a long time ago, back in the old days. And it was so fantastic that you tracked me down after I left, didn't you, I think?
Yeah.
I was so pleased that you did that, and it was really lovely to be in connection with you. And then you really made my day when you were like, yeah, I'm going to do the Transformational Truth of Tarot. But I remember way back then, way back then, what I remember from you at the beginning of the course, and we'll talk about, the fears and everything that you had at the beginning of the journey. But I remember you being quite afraid of the power that you were experiencing with the tarot. But how about we go right back to the beginning in terms of how did tarot first present itself to you?
So I think it probably was actually through you. So it was about 2011, probably, and I think it was the visual aspects of tarot that really stood out, because I feel like I'm quite a visual person, and I was really attracted to the visual aspects and the archetypes. And I think because of my other work, my psychological work that I do, the archetypes sort of became more apparent in the people I was working with as well. So this sort of this idea of archetypes and how we actually present in life, and how we wear different masks and how that kind of operates kind of fascinated me. And so I thought about how the tarot was quite a good way of actually kind of embracing that and actually looking into that a bit further, but also a tool for your own, I didn't realize at the time because it was just like a way of actually thinking, like finding out a bit more about yourself that you might not be able to see yourself, I think. So sort of like the areas you can't quite see about yourself that you might be able to get reflected back from a supportive influence from a tarot reader. So that's what I think attracted me to tarot reading, to actually get more insight into my current life and try and work out why I keep repeating patterns and trying to figure it out a little bit. But perhaps with that time, quite a lot of fear, I think, at that point as well. So that kind of anxiety kind of pushing it along as well, sort of wanting answers or wanting to know more.
Okay, so from the very beginning then that tarot presented itself to you, you were aware of its power around archetypes and psychology. It sounds like you weren't just coming for although there is a bit of that, it sounds like you weren't just coming for the normal prediction elements that most people usually go for tarot readings for. Sounds like you had a deeper understanding already.
Yeah, I think it was kind of coming out on a bit of a subconscious level as well, why I was attracted to it. So I don't think I was necessarily conscious of that, but it's more now as well, sort of like in reflection. I was kind of like, and I can see how I was thinking about different partners at the time and thinking about actually what characters they were playing out. So when it was reflected back, it was kind of really quite powerful.
Wow.
Insights.
Okay, I never
From
realized.
you, actually. It was you reading that time. very, very powerful.
You first got introduced to the tarot through me, through having a reading with me. Was that right?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, that is the what stands out. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
definitely. I don't think I was interested in perhaps in seeing it in festivals and seeing other people doing it, but always a bit scared to actually go and have a reading. So kind of like it was sort of around. I was interested in it, but not enough to actually go and take that step, I guess.
Okay. And so then you just walked into Mysteries one day and thought,
Yeah,
sod it, I'm going to have one.
yeah. Look down the list. She looks nice. So and that was you. So and she just felt that connection actually to you, and actually like yeah, I really want a reading by that lady. So.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I don't know if you remember my profile at Mysteries, but nobody thought I would make it at Mysteries because my profile said healing, not prediction, positivity, not negativity, and empowerment, not dependency. And it was the healing, not prediction bit, you know. And everyone was saying, Tiffany, you're not going to last 5 minutes. You know, all the people want in tarot is prediction. And I was there 7 years, you know, before I decided it was done. And I think this is the true thing in marketing. You've just got to be true, and then you get the people that are right for you. So I did have people come in and say, I've chosen you because of your profile. But so often, you know, we think, oh my God, I need to be just like so and so. And I think that's a real challenge. So it's really nice to hear that you connected from seeing the profile, because I think this is really important thing that I just want to point out to people is you know, the courage to be yourself and
Yeah.
to actually just be you. Well, and then you'll get the right fit, you know. So you know, you're my dream ideal client. You've got some awareness already, you know, of how the archetypal energy is in the tarot. So, and it's fascinating to hear that from you, because actually I wasn't aware of that you had. You know, when you were coming for readings, it was very much in the place of I really like this person, and I can also feel this kind of like, you know, really searching for answers, really, really wanting the answers, which of course everybody that seems to come to tarot comes to tarot for, and it can be really difficult. And that kind of okay, the answers are within. The answers are within, where people are like trying to get the answers about what's happening on the outside. As I think you know now.
Yes. Oh yes.
Now you're a tarot reader yourself. So,
Yeah.
but let's rewind. Okay, so that was how me and Fiona met, and then fast forward to November 2016. Yes, and you decided to come on the Transformational Truth of Tarot. Yes.
Yeah. And I'd had a quite powerful psychic experience around my birthday in August.
Right.
I think that helped tip me into going onto the course, because it had frightened me. It had actually kind of like felt a bit out of control. I don't know what to do with this experience, and I don't have a network to actually talk about it. It's like most of my friends like would look at me like, falling off the back of a truck. It's not, it's not something you can actually talk about necessarily with everybody. So I was like, I'm stuck with this kind of like intuition and experience, and I don't know what to do with it, and it needs to grow, it needs to go somewhere. So I think that tipped me over into kind of, right, I need to take the next step actually, and actually coming onto the course, because it was wanting to actually develop that psychic intuition further, but in a sort of safe environment, so that I felt contained as well. So it was that I think that was a natural step actually in kind of getting me onto the course in November.
You decided to come onto the course because you had had some really strong psychic experiences, and this is quite a common story actually. Quite a lot of people come on because they have these experiences. They can't find the answers outside. They feel like anyone they talk to just won't get it. And then they come into the group and they're like, oh, thank God. So, yeah, in terms of you getting on the course, so there's a really strong kind of pull there of like, okay, I feel a bit scared. I don't really know what's happening. I don't have the support network. I feel like I need to develop this safely. Was there anything that was also telling you not to come on the course, or any blocks around
Oh
coming
yeah,
on?
definitely. I think lots of fear. Just lots of fear about everything. Can I afford it? What's going to happen? You know, will I be able to manage it? What's going, you know, when will I be able to kind of show what I've, you know, what I've done for this? Maybe it won't work. Will it be just something else, or that I've tried, it doesn't work? You know, is it just going to be part of the pattern? So yeah, lots of those
Oh
kind of
my
things.
gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's like all of them that I think I've
Yeah.
come across. Yeah,
Yeah.
in one
Yeah.
go. Wow.
Yeah.
So you managed to kind of obviously quiet that voice and come onto the course. Was there anything that helped you to make that decision?
I it's an interesting question. I don't actually know. I think it was actually a really intuitive gut instinct as far as I just felt like the right thing to do at that point in time.
Yeah.
And it was just like listening to my gut instinct rather than my crazy mind at the time. So just thinking, like, rather than listening to all the fears, just like actually following what the gut instinct was saying. And actually, like, well, I'm worried about, like, you know, wanting to develop my intuition further. Maybe I should actually listen to my intuition at this point in time. And my intuition is telling me that to go on it, so I'm just going to listen to that rather than all the other kind of voices that the fears. So yeah,
Fantastic.
that helped
Yeah.
make the decision.
Yeah. And usually it does come down to that as well. It's like this feeling of like, oh, that's right, or this feeling of like, no, it's not. So I think you do know when it's the right time.
Yeah.
And also, it's quite interesting you say, you know, the reason that you wanted to come on was to develop your intuition, and you were aware enough to actually think, okay, so I need to listen to my intuition now, because quite often what stops people of enrolling in some self-development type of course in general, not just this one, but in general, is the very reason why they need to come on the course. So
Very
it's
interesting.
really, really fascinating. So you
Yeah.
were obviously aware enough to go, this is why I'm coming on the course, so I should start as I mean to go on. That's fantastic.
It's like holding
Excellent.
yourself by the hand and going, come on, you can do the next step. It's just got to push yourself through your comfort zone, actually. And that's something I was really thinking about, was actually like one of the reasons why I came on the course was about pushing through my comfort zones and actually wanting change. But that means being uncomfortable, and that kind of not clear about outcome needed to happen. So
Okay, so then fast forward to the first month of the course,
mhm.
and that thing you were just talking about with comfort zone. How did you feel in the first month in regard to comfort zone there?
Um, very uncomfortable. I think that's a kind of understatement slightly. I was felt way out of control, and the cards that I was on, I was following, being a card a different on the Fool's Journey each day, was bringing up so much, so many emotions, so many fears, and reflecting on each card was exhausting, you know, but at the same time energizing at the same time. So it's like this massive roller coaster, but at the same time feeling that change actually sort of being sort of brought to the surface, or you know, that grit needed to be a kind of unshaken was kind of coming to the surface more. Which was really it makes you so vulnerable, and that's where the support of the group was really helpful for people who've been on that Fool's Journey and had actually been through similar experiences, and were able to actually kind of just provide that support and kind of like, yeah, you can do it, it's okay, it's yeah, I felt like that at that point, oh gosh, yeah, that card or was very sort of you know, suggestive to me, and so that kind of spurs you on. It keeps you going as well. And it, you know, that rhythm, that natural rhythm of the Fool's Journey anyway, it's like, okay, that was whatever that was, but now we're moving on, and there's another experience to kind of move into. And it's never kind of, you're sitting with that for too long, I guess. You're able to kind of move on from it.
Yes. So I will just
Mm.
clarify what we do in the group is to, like you
Mm.
said, take a card a day and live it, and it's actually incredibly powerful, far more powerful than you can probably
Mm.
imagine or prepare yourself for, right?
No.
um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it can be very overwhelming. I would say the first week of the group, the first week of the course, you are being the Fool, which is the first
Mm.
card in that Fool's Journey, which is the 22
Mm.
major arcana cards of the tarot, and each step is a step in life, and you get on that step, you get on that soul evolutionary map, and you go around it, and every week I think it gets easier in a way, but it also brings up deeper things too, doesn't it? So it's like on
Mm.
one level it gets easier, and on another level it gets like, oh my God, kind of
Mm.
like, yeah, we're going
Mm.
deeper all the time. Um, but as you say, you change the cards every couple of days, and so you know that it's just gonna change again, and that helps. It's like the divine flow or the divine rhythm, which you've brought
Mm.
up there,
Mm.
is all about what this course is about. It's about helping people to get out of trying to control the external world through the answers, trying to get the
Mm.
answers with the tarot, to getting the answers within and trusting the faith and the timing of the tarot. Because when you
Mm.
do that, you can really see that actually, there is a divine timing,
Mm.
and we just
Mm.
need to get on board with that. And that's what, that journey does, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps you moving and
Mm.
trying not to get stuck into that kind of whatever that's been brought up. It's realizing that there is a rhythm to actually keep moving through it rather than. So yeah, it was a very interesting one. And the Chariot was in my first week, which was. Do you want me to hold a card up to show the Chariot?
Yeah. Awesome.
Chariot.
Thank you.
Which is a very powerful was very, I'm going to say for myself, was very powerful for me, because I did one of the meditations that's suggested with it, and at the same time managed to do a lot of dancing on that day as well to some very powerful Arabic music. Wouldn't recommend doing that necessarily, because it brought up like turbulence, like the chariot you can see like moving is
Hold it
so
up again a bit higher for us, please, Fiona.
there you go. Can you
Great.
see?
Thank you. Yeah.
So you can see it's obviously a mode of transport and it's moving. And so I actually got physically sick as a result of being on this card, because of the meditation, because of what I'd sort of self-inflicted by doing loads of crazy dancing on that day as well. And it actually brought about this sort of turbulence, movement sickness. That's the only way I can describe it, because I wasn't ill, and it passed the next day, but there was such a shake up physically. And the Chariot's all about moving forward, and it was kind of like almost pushing me, and against my will almost. It felt like it was really pushing me out of my comfort zone. So it was almost like catapulting me into the next phase. So
Okay. So you had a really strong, by the sounds of it, a really strong push out of your
yeah,
comfort zone at the beginning of the course, as I think
yeah,
everybody does,
yeah.
and quite a lot of people have felt sick on the Chariot, But yeah, I love the fact that you called it motion sickness. I can
Yeah.
really get that. So you've actually got a story there, haven't you? You've
Yeah. When you start the course, Tiffany and the group do cards for you, and talk through, what the cards, the card that they pulled for you, what that kind of the message is for your time on the course. And so the cards that I got, that stood out for me particularly was, and it was actually Tiffany that pulled these cards, was the Seven of Cups, but at the same time it was the Nine of Pentacles. And I just felt really kind of sort of, that's so interesting about that time of feeling like the fear and confusion about what path, and is this the right thing to be doing, and all the many different voices that were going on in my head and what to do. But at the same time, my sort of gut instinct coming through, going, no, this is the right thing that you need to be doing. This beautiful Nine of Pentacles, like reaching forward, and kind of like, this is where you can actually manifest and actually develop. So it was interesting having these two cards at the same time. So that was the sort of the starting point. And then we talked a little bit about the Chariot, but in between then we had the Empress, which was this delight in dancing again. I sort of put my new sort of fan passion again to sort of 5 rhythms and conscious dancing, and was just really getting into it. And so I think I started that back again on the Empress. I remember having a beautiful day on the Empress of dancing and creativity, and it's just like it was like a breath of fresh air, I guess. That was just like okay, I don't know what else is going on, but with the tarot and everything's going on around me, but the dancing is kind of actually just like helping me just to kind of do something I really enjoy at the moment and remind me of, like, you know, this is another part of me that needs to kind of be released and have fun as well.
It's quite interesting because you're not the only one to have really got into dancing again or found their dance again with the tarot. I think again it's a very similar thing in dance practice as it is to tarot. I think of, like, you have to keep moving. It's the movement, it's the rhythm, know. Yeah.
It's coming through again.
And I think it's quite fascinating too, sorry, but I just want to bring up the 7 of Cups and the 9 of Pentacles and the Empress. If you hold them all up, if you can, that would be amazing. So, the Chariot is a 7 as well, and you've got the 7 of Cups there. And so, like you were saying, this is the overwhelm and out of the comfort zone and, maybe a bit of the sickness. And then you've got the 9 of Pentacles and the Empress, which I kind of see as the same person. Like the 9 of Pentacles is very similar to the Empress, isn't she, in terms of you've got the major and the minor kind of energy there going on of the same thing, which is like, oh, I need to earth, I need to ground, I need to dance. And so it feels like that was growing stronger because you've gone from, okay, there's this going on, but I need to just I need to get in my body, I need to ground, I need to listen to my intuition. It's already guiding you very powerfully by the sounds of it. Okay, I'm loving this. Carry on.
Definitely. So I was in this beautiful kind of phase of dancing, and then the next day was the Emperor.
Okay.
And a lot of people seem to have kind of responded quite differently to how I did. I found it, for me personally, when I was like, oh, this is brilliant. It's actually making me organised. I'm getting so much done on this day. Oh my goodness. And it really has, still to this day, I when I need to get something done, I put the Emperor on my phone and things happen, and it just helps me concentrate and ground in a very different way. I think I can get very into love the feminine, this is great, but actually I need to do the masculine as well, so it helps balance my energies really, and it's really powerful for me to kind of just tap into it. So it's like this newfound magic with the Emperor, and obviously he's got his other side as well, but it's there is this, for me, was a really powerful kind of connection to the Emperor, which I haven't actually lost. I still find him.
Yeah, and I would say that's fantastic, because you're so right. When people, before they're connected with the Emperor, they're like, don't like the Emperor, and then 9 times out of 10, because every time it's kind of different, but 9 times out of 10, people are like, oh my God, I so love being with the Emperor once they've lived him and put him on your phone and things like that, because he does kick your butt, but it feels amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the best days in life is when we've achieved, it's like
but it's just the marriage of these two, it's like, oh, happy days. It's like, you really, and needing those balance, like I think before I can see how, like before I was on the course, even I can be very much my feminine, and it can create that is wonderful, but you do need the balance and actually getting things done. So it's and finishing things.
So you've actually found that every time you do stick the Emperor on your phone, it activates that energy. That's
definitely
fantastic.
I had this card up, we're going to skip on to when I left the course a little bit, but I went on to a course on leadership, and I'd also was doing, actually no, before then, actually, sorry, I was doing a course, I was doing the another course, and it required a lot of concentration, and I had the Emperor up all the time basically, and it made me just get on with it. It was very, very positive in helping me study, and so I use it quite when every time I need to study I use it, the Emperor.
So you've gone from really resisting the Emperor to almost kind of not getting enough of the Emperor.
Yeah, completely.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we talked already about the Chariot, but so that was obviously came after the Emperor. So it's very kind of up, and that was very it was very up. It was kind of very confused, and then very up, and then the Chariot kind of really swung it at the same time. Just before that, I haven't actually got the card with me. Oh yes, I have. Okay, but I put it later on in the course. Is the Lovers, and that was a massive upheaval at the same time as the Chariot as well. And thinking about just again that questioning everything and everything I stood for, everything I was doing, and very ungrounding. And then the motion sickness of the Chariot afterwards was kind of quite unnerving. But at the same time, I remember you saying to me, "It's all right, it's strength tomorrow."
Yeah.
So it's kind of just moving on to strength, my Leo card, so it's a very sort of safe place to be, and just actually embracing that day, and I think it was just like calming, just very calming day on that day. But I suppose for the next kind of part of the journey, I was it's kind of embracing this sort of Skypes and thinking about how I was on as a reading for other people, which is terrifying. And so I pulled the judgment card for this because it was a lot of self-judgment about criticizing myself and being very tongue-tied with actually what to say, and being afraid of what to say, and editing what to say, and not actually. But that obviously changed in time, but it was very prominent for a while, and getting the support from the group, particularly one lady who was very supportive.
I wonder who that might be.
Yeah, very motherly, very nurturing, and made me realise that I had a lot to offer as well in a different way. So I was able to suddenly start utilising my psychological skills, my other skills, that in a different way, in thinking about the action plan that was going to come out of her reading. So it was really transformative, and that clicking of like, oh, I've got a lot to give. Actually, I just couldn't tap into it before.
That's fantastic. And just whilst you're on that, I want to bring back what you said earlier as well, in terms of how, when you come into the group, there's elders, and it helps, they kind of go, oh, it's okay, I've been there, done that, this is what it's been like, you'll get through it, da, 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 da. And when I first did this course, it was one-to-one through email, and people were saying to me, Tiffany, I feel like I've taken the red pill and no one else has, And so then I put it into a group, and the group went through the cards all at the same time, and it worked a lot better. But it's grown since then, and now there's lovely people like Harriet. Let's name her. she'll be glad for that. We all know it's Harriet. I mean, the card absolutely looks like her as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And Emma and other elders, who I call the bodhisattvas, who really were the pioneers of staying behind and helping people through the process. So basically now you come on at any, and there are people at any point of the journey, isn't there, with you?
Yeah.
And so you were finding that really helpful, that there were elders and they were there on Skype calls with you at the beginning, which is what I try and do for newbies now as well, is get the elders to do the first Skype calls with you. And that really, you're saying you couldn't tap into anything before then, really?
No,
to do with the Skype calls?
It was a lot of I think it took us several attempts to tap into it. So having that elder support for a couple of I think at least 2 or 3 is really helpful.
Right. Okay. So So
for me.
Yeah. So it was like, oh God, I need to come out of the judgment. That's what you've used the judgment card for. And then you've used the Queen of Pentacles card for the support to come out of judgment. Wonderful. Gorgeous. Again, very up there and very grounded. We haven't had any wands yet or swords, have we yet?
No, well, you say that.
Funny that.
That's
Must
what's
be
coming
psychic.
next. So,
Yeah.
then we have the swords.
Right.
So, the I think that prompted me for this card was about because I had got into this place of like starting to flow and starting to move through, but still unsure about, I guess, that kind of just self-doubt creeping in a little bit about like, have I made the right choice, and so on and so forth. But but at the same time, kind of, it was a less of a stronger voice, if that makes sense. So it was kind of, it came back up again, but it was not as strong. So it was still as around. And watched it, but then from that, I think it was around about the retreat time. And because I put the full later on, I can't show you. Well, I can show you the full. Okay, hold on, find the full.
So I'm just going to clarify for people that on the Transformational Truth of Tarot Deluxe, you have a retreat in the package.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So around about March 2017, it was retreat time. So getting to meet everyone was amazing. So all these people that have been supporting you and you've been talking to, actually getting to meet them and kind of share, and people at different points of the journey as well. So some people just started, and there was people that have been on a long time, international people, coming from Canada. So it was very exciting to be suddenly in the middle of like deepest, darkest Cornwall, going, okay, and now we are here. So I'm feeling. So what kind of cards I suppose really stood out for me was which is what also people reflecting back. So it was almost like the living tarot. So it's kind of like people, we were talking about what cards reminded us of different people. And the cards that came up for me were the Fool and the Star.
Weren't they just? Yeah. You were even stood in the river down the woodland, looking like the star.
Yeah.
It's like, there's the star.
Like, oh, there she is.
And they're both Aquarius as well, which is your opposite sign, interestingly enough.
And interestingly, I'm dating an Aquarius at the moment. Anyway, that's by and by. Anyway, both Aquarius. And what actually I think it's what's interesting is what looking back is like my sort of external self can represent as the Fool quite often, which is great and has many benefits for this, and being childish and adventurous and curious and the rest of it, but also has been perhaps a little bit self-limiting in some ways, and not actually taking myself seriously and actually what I could achieve. So this is where the Star, it felt like, was coming through. And interestingly, when I was doing this journey, this was the middle point, was the Star in when I was laying all the cards out for this talk today. And so it was just really interesting. It feels like, okay, this is kind of where I'm going, perhaps, in kind of taking myself more seriously. So it felt like that naturally, but it's actually more, as I've just been doing it now, I can see that.
Yeah.
As well. So it's interesting how you can keep gaining insight by looking back at your journey and looking at your journey in different ways.
Absolutely. And again, at the beginning, the Seven of Cups is kind of Fool-like in a way. It's like, oh, merry-go-round. And then you've got the Nine of Pentacles as well, which is kind of, and the Empress, which is kind of also quite star-like in the way that you've become, they're all graceful cards, aren't they? They're graceful. Yes. Whereas the Fool might be accidentally graceful. It's not kind of an embodied grace. I don't know. Probably people don't see the Fool as graceful because it's like, when you think of a Fool, you think clumsy and you think, knocking over things, and that's not particularly graceful. But I think the Fool can be graceful in that it's full of grace or inspiration or guidance from the universe. And so often we think we've made a mistake when actually we've made an intuition and, all of that type of thing. So I think throughout all of them, it's showing you being really led or really guided by the universe. And it's almost like how when I saw you at the beginning and you were really scared about the amount of power that was coming through you, and that was ungrounding you very much. Can you hold them up a bit, please? Thank you, Fiona. So that was ungrounding you, like stepping off the cliff, and that journey is okay. I've got to step off the cliff now, and then it was like, I know I can hold this. When
Yeah.
do you feel? So you feel like the feeling came in around the retreat? Did you feel then that you felt like you could hold it, or was it before
It
or
actually
after?
it was interesting. It's more now I can see it, because I think at the time my ego was kind of fishing around, like, oh, you know, how am I being seen by other people? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
kind of reflection about that, but also at the same time going, oh, it's really lovely that people are seeing me like that. So there's a bit of a battle in my own head and being about that. So I think it needed time to sort of integrate and actually see. And now I can see it like, oh, it's lovely. And actually the two combined feels really beautiful. But at the time, it was like I couldn't quite receive that. But it was coming. It was there. It just needed time to integrate. And I think that's what one of the main things about this journey has been for me, is about actually like allowing that time to integrate has been really powerful. And I've needed that time to let things integrate at their own pace, rather than it's just happened to me a bit like that generally. So
Wonderful, thank you.
okay. Should we carry on? There's
Yeah,
still many
loving
more.
this journey. I've got lots of tingles as you're talking, so it's great.
Okay.
It's fantastic to see the pictures along with your journey.
And so I think it was quite soon after the retreat, I needed to kind of make a big decision, really. So it was back on the lovers, and thinking about, actually, as I was kind of coming through towards the end, I think it was coming towards the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 lessons, where you start taking yourself more seriously about, you know, what kind of, you know, where you want this to go, and or, you know, how you might want to think about taking this professionally, and taking you know, how to give professional readings. I kind of was like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this yet. So it was very much there was a lot of other things coming in that needed attention, like a big course I needed to go on, the leadership course that was coming through. And although I felt I was in a really good position, like a very strong position, the choice was, and there was the massive change where I sort of left the course, really, at that point in time. And I knew I wanted to come back to it, but it just wasn't the right time for me. And death is can be quite fast, and things changed quite quickly. And I left the group, and I didn't really leave the group, but it was like I was not on the webinars, and I was not actually taking part as much. Let's take a big back step.
You had your leadership was a master's, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so it was just after the retreat. And also the retreat in Cornwall is really powerful. Usually when you go there, it changes something. It's like one chapter closes, another one opens, and it was like, I think it was the last, like you say, 5-6 weeks, last month, you know, or so, in the group. And it was like, okay, the transformation's starting to happen now. You've got this thing about, you know, you've got a master's in leadership, and it's like it's now you've got to you were coming to that point of needing to do your exams and everything, weren't you? It was that time.
It was getting really intense, and writing essays and so on. So it just had to kind of take the attention. But that was also quite synchronistic, because it was on leadership, which I felt was, you know, very much about taking, you know, a different role and actually moving out of your comfort zone, and so it was a lot of being out of your comfort zone. So that something had to give a bit, and you know, I took a back step. But and then whilst I was, you know, it was, then I had a lovely summer off, and it was the festivals and things, went to a lot of conscious festivals over that time. And I met, I was still doing the Fool's Journey to keep connection, to keep that sort of thread through and I wasn't quite sure when I was going to come back to the course, and so on and so forth. And then I sort of had this lovely reconnection point of wow, my God, it's so powerful, the tarot, when I was on the Devil card.
Wow. I'm interested to hear this.
And I was in a conscious festival, and I was just like, oh my goodness, you know what? I hadn't really thought about I'd just left it on my phone. I hadn't really thought about it for the day.
Sorry, were you saying the festival was called Conscious
Oh no,
Festival?
it was a conscious festival, so it's like no alcohol, no drugs.
Oh,
It was very
okay.
much about being present, and yeah, it's and
Even that's
I
very
met.
devil-like, isn't it? Because it's like all about becoming conscious,
Yeah.
and out of the dark. So yeah, okay,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And so on that day, I was introduced to this guy who was sat next to us by a mutual friend, and he was wearing he was Pan, so he had
The
the little
Greek god
horn.
of Pan,
In
yeah, who's the devil in the
He
tarot.
was the
Yeah.
devil. He had black arms. He'd just been fire eating, and he gave me. And we were talking about tarot, and I was like, I hadn't clicked at this point that he was actually the devil
No, you don't, do you? It
represented.
takes a while to reflect and integrate, and then you click at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Afterwards, I was
Yeah,
like, oh my god,
yeah.
that was amazing. And he gave me. We were talking about Granada and about the tarot course I was on and all the rest of it. He's like, oh my gosh, I've got a map about the tree of life, because there's a lot of talk about the tree of life. I've got the necklace on at the moment. And he was saying that I've got this map that represents the tree of life of Granada, and I was like, oh my gosh, my tarot teacher would love to see it. And
I
he
was
actually
living in Granada, wasn't I, at the time?
you were
So
living
just
in
to
Granada
make
at the
that clear,
time.
yep.
Yeah. And
Funnily
then
enough.
actually I saw him yesterday,
Ah,
and I was able to tell him that I've given you the map, and he was overjoyed.
oh,
So
bless.
I
Pass
know
on
it was
my
really
thanks. We found
yes.
the heart chakra. We found Tippereth. It's the fountain in the Albaicine, so yeah.
Yeah, so
So thank
amazing.
you.
So that was there's a lot of synchronicity and a lot of magical stuff that came out it felt like just by connecting and actually talking, and it was a really beautiful synchronicity around like what could happen as a result of just opening up and seeing where it could go, and actually just seeing the possibilities of what could happen. I think I was getting a little bit more confident about just taking risks and actually sort of seeing where we go. And actually, it was just that felt that it was happening in a natural way in the conversation. And now on the going through from there, so it was a lot of discussion around about that time, and I was thinking about what do I do next, and where does it go? And then we went from there to talking about it a lot with a dear friend of mine.
Yes, because this was another event as well where you were sharing or taking risks, how it happened, from what I
Yeah.
believe.
Sorry, can you
Yeah.
say that again?
So I'm just making parallels between, it was when you went to a conscious festival that, the tarot appeared for you as the devil, and you were on the devil card and gave you the kind of message of opening up and sharing and bringing things to the light and things.
Yes.
And then this also happened through another event where maybe you were saying you were getting more comfortable with embracing risks. I think this person from where you were or what this event was quite. It's not the normal thing to
Oh.
have happened, is it?
Yeah, that was around about the same time as well. It was sort of being on a Buddhist retreat and connecting with the only tarot reader in the in the building, and which was Fingal, and who we were being very foolish in the kitchen and very naughty, and then doing tarot readings in the middle of the Buddhist centre. But it was. It's interesting actually, and that's another aspect of me and my Buddhism, but actually being able to integrate that, and actually on the side recently kind of even saying to the Buddhist community, rather than being all naughty and kind of like, oh, I'm doing this on the side, I'm now kind of acknowledging it within my community and saying, what do you
Wow.
think? I'm becoming more intuitive and more, and where does this lie? And they're like, yeah, you can go for it, just fully explore, because it's going to help your integration. So
Fantastic.
they're really supportive of it. So
Well, this is we're so scared to share, but then when we do, amazing things come of it. Like there was the time when you posted your accountability every week in the group.
yeah.
We do, I don't know, am I fast forwarding? Are you covering that, or shall I bring it up
No,
here?
go for it. No, go for it now, because that's
Okay.
something that.
Yeah, so every week we do an accountability where you answer these questions, and it helps you to see where you are, what you're struggling with, and what you need to do to move yourself forward. And every now and again, you know, someone accidentally posts it on their Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, embracing the fall, that happened to you, Fiona. And what happened for you? Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, so I put one of my tarot reflections on my main Facebook journey, and I got one friend particularly coming back going, "Oh, you're doing tarot? I didn't know that." And it's somebody I don't see at all, and they're like, "I would love a paid reading. I'd love a reading." And then I said, "I'm only doing paid readings now because I was at that point in my journey." They're like, "Yeah, that's great, no problem." So actually, from that, I got paid reading as a
But
result.
before that, which is great, isn't it? Fantastic.
Yeah.
But before that, the initial feeling was, what would you say, when you realised
Horror.
that?
Total
Yeah.
horror. Yeah.
So again, that kind of
And
coming out of
embarrassment
comfort zone.
and
Mm.
yeah, a lot of fear, and feeling a bit like humiliated because I was a bit kind of overexposed, and you know that's personal information I hadn't actually wanted to share with everybody. So it has made me more mindful, definitely, about checking when I'm posting. But it can happen, and it's actually, you know, being able to share that with the rest of the group, because it's happened to a few people in the group where we've ended up sharing personal information perhaps where you hadn't meant to. And it has brought things to the surface, I think, a lot quicker as a result.
Yeah.
You know, things are naturally happen as a result, which it can be quite painful, but actually probably speed things up a lot more in the long run, perhaps.
Again, a kind of divine timing of
Yeah.
making an accident, but actually, you know, some divine
Mm.
guidance, or somebody else did it in the group and they said, you know, we're like you at the time, completely like, oh my God. But actually, they then said it was the best thing that had ever happened to them in their life. I was like,
wow,
whoa.
that's really powerful.
Yeah, because they're not in that same trap anymore. They just, you know, they've been pushed out, you know. And then so it sounds like, you know, by being naughty in the Buddhist retreat, you know, actually you found that there's support. And by posting, obviously we're not saying, just it doesn't matter if you post on your Facebook personal page. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but
not ideal. But,
no, but what you got from it again wasn't attack or anything along those lines. It was support and actually a paid client. Was that so you were already doing paid readings then?
No,
that point?
I think I've probably posted a few times, but I've posted twice by accident. So I think you were talking about the first time, and the second time later on, more recently, I suppose, in the last couple of months, when I posted it again, then I got paid readings from it. So that was quite interesting, I suppose, because of the nature of what I was talking about in my reflection was about, I'm thinking about doing a paid reading. So, my friend went, yes, I'm willing to give a paid reading.
There you go.
Yeah.
So okay. So it sounds like so far your journey has been about embracing the foolish element, or to the point where it becomes graceful and it becomes like this strength, and which is the Leo, which you are, you know, so the Fool being the Aquarius, and you know, it feels like there's a representation there with the Fool and the Star coming in, and the Star obviously being the birth pairing with strength, i.e. the Star is 17 and strength is 8, 1 + 7 = 8. So you've got everything kind of feeding into the strength star, the strength card. There. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah. It's interesting. And so actually one of the everyday things I do is about trying to support people to enable themselves to transform as well in my sort of daily work, but in kind of so I'm very used to kind of introducing ideas to people to think about whether that's something that could work for them based. And so I introduced Fingal to the idea of the tarot, and it's something that he really grabbed hold of and went for it, and it's so inspiring. So him being I think him being on the course had a massive impact in kind of pushing me forward as well, actually, and actually making me move forward with my own progress. Actually, he's definitely he's given so much to me in that respect, which I'm really grateful for. which he probably is not aware of, but I will, yeah, he is kind of aware, but I think it's nice to really acknowledge it actually publicly, because I think I know myself that I can end up not finishing things. So I needed that fresh energy to come in to actually propel me forward, actually to kind of complete or move forward and actually get going back on the course again. Because it could have been just like, oh yeah, I will, you know, at some point get back on the course and la 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 la. But no, it needed something to kind of come in, that energy. So yeah, it was really beautiful.
It sounds like a bit of a soul contract in terms of like, you know, you just, oh, I mean, the way you connected with him or met him was because he was doing tarot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so
well,
then,
actually, it was because of our birthday. We both got very excited. Both born on the same day.
yeah, and
That was the
Fingal and
matrix.
Fiona, and Fingal is spelt like Fiona because they put an O in it. So it's like the G, it's just like Fiona with a G before the A and an L at the end.
It's like, I always get
crazy. And so yeah, it was really amazing, you know, to also, you know, witness that in you with that journey and Fingal coming on as well. I think it's interesting, isn't it, when people come on with friends, you kind of wonder like, how is this going to be? But actually all I've seen is those friendships get deeper. And sometimes you think, because this isn't controllable, you know, and, you know, with friends, there can be so much projection and things, which is why we say, you know, a good thing about the group is to actually, you know, it makes you read for people you don't know, at least at the beginning. It can get harder if it's just the same members all the time. But also, you know, the course is about going out and reading for people outside of the course. And then I have my bigger Facebook group, and there's never any problems about finding people that want readings there. And then you know, so it's when you know each other, I think reading for each other can be quite a challenge. So but it sounds like you found having a friend on the course was just 110% supportive, powerful experience.
Definitely. And motivating as well, and inspiring, and I mean, we did read for each other quite a bit, but it was more the support and being on the group and actually kind of seeing his progress and seeing his amazing journey as well was really inspiring. Really inspiring. So I was so that was wonderful to be on it at the same time.
So it was an incredible experience. And I'll just put here that if anybody's interested in seeing Fingal's story, it's also on YouTube. So you spell it Fiongal, very almost like Fiona. But with a G before the A and an L afterwards. Okay, so we're at the point then where you've met Fingal, and so you've been going out in events and the tarot's been appearing to you. I mean, my gosh, you're there in a Buddhist retreat and somebody's doing tarot. And that's got you back on the course. So the devil and the fool got you back on.
It's and getting me back on again. It was suddenly like I suppose there was suddenly a lot of other women who were very Wands, Queen of Wands like, and so and on the group, and I was really inspired by them as well, and it felt like this the group had kind of energized and was really pushing forward, and it was about new ground, and it was I was started feeling a bit more Queen of Wands like as well, and I was getting more done and generally in my life, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. So there was that aspect going on at the same time. It felt like things were starting to kind of come to fruition. There was a lot more, like, although I was giving, I was also felt like I was receiving a lot more as well. So it was kind of like that representation of actually all that it was giving away, that they actually receiving those pentacles, those things were coming back to me in fruition. And then just things becoming more stable, I think, generally. Sort of starting to get results with the professional, like doing a few professional readings, getting some good positive feedback, and also feeling a bit again out of control, but I haven't got a card to represent that. But it was that, which was also where the group was really helpful to actually start, and your advice as well, and support around like how to manage and develop your skills in professional reading as well. So there was that kind of another sort of step in the integration as well. But actually, and I don't think I would have achieved that if I hadn't have had that break between. And actually having that break of the 6 months of like leadership development, whatever, and then coming back on later on, I was taking things more seriously, which is why I've got the temperance, that kind of growing up, that feeling of developing spirituality, and actually it filtering through into a new level, really. So yeah, that's not where I'm, and it feels more like, and as my sort of where I'm at right now, sort of a very wandsy. So this Two of Wands, being quite grounded and knowing where I am going, but or not knowing necessarily where I'm going, but feeling much more grounded where I'm looking, which direction I'm going in.
Okay. So it sounds like when you came back on the course and you came back on with Fingal, who has the same birthday as you, and so there's the double helping of Leo, and then you've held up the Queen of Wands, and you were kind of saying that there was a lot more of that energy. So that if we hold her up a little bit more, so you can see the lions on the throne there, and the black cat. Hold her up. That's it. Got it. Okay. So thank you. And the sunflower. So the Leo energy came through really strong for you. Yeah. And we've got lots of wands after that. So it's like a sense of being in your power, especially with temperance as well, which I would say is strength, justice, patience, honesty. It's like grace, it's embodiment of all of those things. So it's like getting it 4 times over. And of course, the journey never ends. You're saying that at the moment you're now at this Two of Wands stage. So tell us a little bit more about that then. What's happening for you there?
Just that outward direction and wanting to be doing more readings and doing it in a different context, and actually being confident doing it now, and actually taking that next step, and realizing what's going to work. I went to a conscious festival this weekend and had a go at doing professional readings in a festival. We recommend it. It was really good because it helped me realize that's not going to work. So I need to take a different route, and actually trying it out in a different environment was really helpful. And it really kind of made me think, no, because it's the energy in the festival was quite scattered, and I could see how that was impacting on the reading. But before I've been quite, I was saying to you, I'm going to give it a go with conscious festivals, and now I'm like really clear, pole in hand, no, it's not going to work. I need to take a different direction with that. So
okay, so speaking about the different direction, and doing paid readings, what is, if somebody wants one with you now, what does it look like and how do they get it?
Well, I would love to give a reading for people who have got an interest in perhaps psychology as well, and kind of have that kind of willingness to reflect and think about where they're at the moment, and able to reflect on where they're at. Is a really helpful skill but at the same time, I can offer that as well. I can help people with reflecting as well, and this is where the tarot is really great at helping reflect back to you where you are now as well. So I can offer that in the reading, and also thinking about an action plan about how to sort of take you forward as well. That sort of integrates my kind of background as well with sort of psychological skills, and thinking about how to move forward and taking baby steps, because it's all about taking those baby steps out of your comfort zone, right? And that can lead to the bigger leaps up, in my experience as well. But it is kind of keeping that momentum going. So really would love to meet some new people, really. And you can contact me through Messenger or through Tiffany as well. So yeah, it's either route. So my name's Fiona Maggie on Messenger.
Okay, thank you, Fiona. So yeah, I mean, what you've got there is 2 skills as well, looking at these Two of Wands. You've got the psychology and you've got the leadership, and they go hand in hand. So it feels like, tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you've got a really good grasp on how to get people from A to B, looking at that, that those Two of Wands there. and that the psychology and the reflection coupled with the leadership skills means that you don't just leave them in that reflection place, but with that plan, you're kind of going, right now, these are the steps, bang, to get to B. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you do need, and that's what you've done for me as well. It's actually through the one-to-one coaching as well, is actually breaking it down into like small steps as well, and just we all need it. We just when we're actually in that process, everybody needs that kind of support. So it is about accepting where you're at, but actually and allowing people to support you as well is really beneficial. So
and this is exactly what I feel this revival that's happening of tarot now. I really hope does embrace this new kind of, I don't think it's a new psychology, but I think somewhere along the line it got the focus of it being a reflective tool to get to know thyself, which is the most important but hardest thing to do, got lost and covered up with let's find the answers outside, and that got very much exploited. And I it's my dream and wish and hope, and I think we share this greatly, that we get back to this way of working, and I really do feel that there's a renaissance around it and a resurgence, and so it is. And thank you so much for being part of the journey and coming on the course. It's a real honor to definitely witness these
thank you.
journeys.
It's been amazing. It really has. It has been I'm very proud of myself actually, which is
so
really to kind of stuck it out, I guess, as well, and really pushed myself through. And I couldn't have done it without the support of the group, and I really hand on heart do feel that it has been an amazing experience being part of the group as well, and your teaching and support as well. Of course, without that we wouldn't be here.
So I mean it feels to me that the tarot kind of, so the tarot does the work in a way, like you say, that the divine rhythm, it's about, I help you to get on that, and the tarot and the group are the magic that kind of pulls you through. Pull isn't the right word, I don't think. I think there's just a really strong magnetic rhythm, and sometimes you might not understand it, like but it's always the right time, like when you came off because you needed to. It was the right decision. You had a master's to complete, and then it's like, oh, here's the tarot, it's presenting itself to me again. And the tarot does that often to people, I think. It shows up and then it goes away and then it comes back again, and there's no kind of mistaking that okay, now it's time for the next level. And so if there's anybody out there that obviously wants a reading with Fiona, so Fiona Maggie on Facebook. Also, you can get her through my group in Inner Transformation with Tiffany Crosara on Facebook. And for those of you that aren't on Facebook, you can go through my website. So there's a contact form there. So just go to contact on Tiffany Crosara. That's my name. TIFFAMY Crosara, CROSARA.com, and click contact, and we'll set you up with a reading with Fiona.
Great.
Oh, wonderful. And talking about how the tarot goes away and comes back, and if anyone's sat there and thinking, yeah, you know what, the tarot's gone away and it's come back, or they're feeling like intuitively is now the right time, but they're having all of those blocks. You said so many that you experienced before you came on the course, which was am I going to fail at something again? Can I afford this? Is it just going to be a waste of time and a waste of money? This is scary. I don't know what is going to happen in my psyche. And obviously, at the beginning you were having so many psychic experiences, and there was a lot of fear around being able to actually connect directly or step right into it. It was like you were having to face your fear head on. I think you I really don't see you as in that place anymore. I don't know when that changed for you. Can you just, when do you feel that changed for you?
It's really hard to kind of put a time frame on it.
Mm.
So many different experiences, or kind of, I think it was sort of, it peaked at different points and then went away again, and then it's kind of stabilized. So it's not like in a linear journey. It's definitely up and down. So it's hard to say the exact point, but I think coming back onto the course the second time round, I could really feel a difference at that point, and then it just feels like to have grown from there, if that makes sense. So yeah, and I think probably around about November, around about November.
So about a year afterwards.
Yeah, after a year afterwards.
And that's when you started to feel all the integration of all the different parts, or you started to see it by having a bit of space and coming back in. It sounds like you were able to see it.
Definitely needed for me. And everybody's different, so it's
exactly.
And I think maybe hopefully my sharing this just reminds other people that we don't have to fit into this sort of linear pattern of you must get to this, from this place to this place at this certain time.
Exactly. So the course is set up now. I mean, it's rhythmic, so it's about getting on the rhythm and keeping on the rhythm all the time. The rhythm is there, and sometimes the rhythm feels like it's not there when it is there as well. So it's about listening to those different rhythms, but sometimes the rhythm's just not there for a while. And so the course is set up now to it's more flexible than it was at the beginning, shall we say. And so that's great for you to share that story. And in terms of like, if anybody is out there thinking, yes, oh my goodness, what Fiona's done here is amazing. This visual story, we all respond very well to visuals, like Fiona was saying, that she's very visual. And it's great to see that story tell. Thank you so much. So storytelling is something we do in the group every day. You are to tell the story of your day before. It helps you see your patterns and your awareness and things like that. So it's really great that Fiona's had this idea to share the story this way. I've really loved that. And if people want to get on their fool's journey because they're going, the tarot's here again, and I feel that intuitively that this is the next stage for me, but oh my God, I don't know if I could, that sounded horrendous, that part where like you were on the chariot, or being completely out of your comfort zone all the time and like really kind of overwhelmed with so much to do. And what would you say?
I'd say you expect something similar because it will disrupt your life in a positive, but it's a positive transformation. If you're going on a transformational course, you're signing up for it, you've got to expect there to be some disruption, and it's okay because you're well supported. You've got the rhythmic action of the tarot guiding you through as well. So it's that flow, getting into that flow, which really helps, and actually like surrendering to it a bit. Actually, I think surrender, whatever point in time that actually happened, it's hard to pinpoint a time, but I definitely did surrender to actually just allowing what needs to come through at any particular time. It just opened up everything and taken away that anxiety. So just go for it. It's okay. It's going to be okay, whatever happens.
So you were pleased you listened to your intuition.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Because I guess it's priceless in terms of like, going from that place of feeling like the Fool to then embodying the Star and, Strength card and all of those kind of things. And now going, oh, you know what? Actually, I've also got another avenue for career, or if I want it. But it's almost like the tarot is a byproduct, isn't it? And it's like the real thing is the personal transformation.
Yeah. This is amazing, and it's for me, it's that integration of actually all the different parts of myself, kind of accepting them and sort of being able to move forward with it. So it's done what it needs to do.
To get to know thyself.
Yes,
Yes. There we go. Indeed. Well, I look forward to seeing how everything goes for you and in the forthcoming months, and maybe you'll come back on at some point and share us the second chapter of the Fool's Journey. I've really loved seeing your story tell, so thank you so much for bringing up that idea to do it this way. It's been a fantastic way to do it.
Great.
And remember, guys, Fiona Maggie on Facebook, or just go to tiffanycrosara.com, press contact, and we'll get you in with the reading with Fiona, who does have a lot of skills in psychology aspects and also leadership skills too. And what price are we looking at? Just so people know.
£35.
35. It's a
I'll do a
real bargain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Special offer of £25 for the first person who signs up.
Okay, so this is a video that's going out all the time, so maybe I'll edit that bit out. Yeah, otherwise you'll just be having 25 all the time, and you're so worth 35 and more, you know.
Okay.
Also being based in London, you know, that is an absolute steal. But of course, these readings are also done through Skype as well, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank
And if any of you are there that will go, yeah, you know what? I am like, it's the voice and I'm pressing that button. You can bang the desk now, Fiona. I'll let you. Bless. Yeah, that's fantastic. I asked her to sit on her hands earlier because she was banging the desk all the time. Yeah. So yeah, if it's like
excitement.
So like if you're feeling like the voice and it's like, yeah, the tarot's come up again, I'm feeling this in my intuition, and the time is now 1, 2, 3. Let's press that voice button on the table. 1, 2, 3. There we go. The button's there. It's that pink one. Can't quite get it flashing red like the voice, but just that's the motion to take. Thank you very much again, Fiona. All right, and thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.